Welcome to Teaching Management. So, the first thing that we're going to look at will be what is measurement? So, measurement concepts and skills are directly applicable to the world in which students live. Many of these concepts are also developed in other subject areas such as science, social studies, and physical education. So this was from the Ontario Ministry of Education, 2005, page 8. Now let's look at the key ideas in measurement. There are two key ideas. Okay, you need to remember this. There are two key ideas. The first key idea will be attributes, units, and measurement sense. So the first one, which talks about attributes, attributes are actually what is it that we measure. Okay, what are the things that we measure? And then for each measurement, it has its own units, sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes three. And then we need to look at measurement sense. How do you teach measurement to your students who are in primary schools? Now the second key idea is measurement relationships. So we will look at this in a bit. So let's look at attributes, units, and measurement sets. So the first thing that you need to know as a teacher are attributes. So here are seven attributes. You can find this in many reference books. So the seven common attributes of measurement taught in primary schools are length. Okay, so that would be on your left hand side, that is length. And then we have area, and then we have volume. Okay, you see all those canisters and glass jars. And then capacity. Okay, so volume and then capacity. And then there's the weighing scale, which will be the mass. And then the clock will be the time, and the thermometer will be temperature. So seven. So from the left, we have area, sorry, we have length, area, volume, capacity, mass, time, and temperature. Let's move on. Okay, Copley did a research in 2000, page 135, states that adults often think of measurement in terms of formulas, rulers, and graduated cylinders. You can see the cylinder on your right hand side, the formula on top of the cylinders, and then these two pictures where the small hand and the big hand, okay, uh, and also the books. Okay, we will look at these two in a bit. But for young children, they when they encounter measurement in many contexts every day, as they explore and they try to make sense of their world. So to them, it's not about formula. It's not about using measuring cylinders. It's not about rulers. It's just trying to make sense of what they see. How big is it? How small is it? How long is it? How short it is? Okay, so that's how young children actually sees measurement. And we and you as teachers are trying to teach them and change their perspective from just seeing something big or small to actually measuring it so that they can conclude, or they can say that, oh, this is big, or this is small. Okay, right, next one. So, what is measurement? It involves identifying an attribute to be measured, for example, length, mass, area, and so on, and then using definable, consistent units to find the how muchness of the attribute. So, how much or how many steps, how long is it? So, the how muchness here. Okay, let's look at measurable attributes. Okay, so we will go from right to left. Okay, right. The first one. How high can sorry. How high can I pile this ice cream before it falls over? Okay, so the word ice cream down there, cancel it. Okay, how high can you put the ice cream on top of one another until it falls over? Okay, so you are measuring the length, how high. So you can say 2 scoops, 3 scoops, not measuring it in centimeters or inches. It's just by scoop. So you can see 1 scoop, 2 scoops in the picture. The next one, if this ice cream melts, how big would the puddle be? Okay, for example, you see in the picture down there, how big will the puddle be? That means you just let the ice cream melts over a few hours, and then you take the or you put the ice cream glass, okay, in a, let's say, a bowl, and then once it melts, then you can actually see how much the ice cream actually melts. Okay, and then will my hand fit around the glass? Right, so you are trying to find whether the area of the glass, is it small, is it big? So these are attributes that we have discussed just now, and you are trying to find it in ice cream. Okay, the next one, how cold is this ice cream? So that means you will know the meaning of hot and cold. Okay, so if you are teaching primary school children, then they will know what is hot and what is cold. All right, and so if they put their hand on the glass, then they will know, hey, this is cold, it's not hot. And how much ice cream will I need to fill the cone? Okay, how much ice cream will I need to fill the cone? So we are looking at volume. Okay, so you can put in the scoops. So 1 scoop is sort of like a volume on its own. Then how long will it take me to eat this ice cream? So we're looking at time. How long? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour? Okay, 1 hour. I think the ice cream is already melted. All right, so these are example. This is an example of how we measure the attributes, and all 7 are here. Okay, so measurable attributes. The first one is how long or how wide or how high or how deep or how far is it. So we're looking at length, we're looking at width, we are looking at height, we are looking at depth, and we are looking at distance. So all this actually has something to do with length. The second one is what is the distance around it? So we are looking at perimeter. And then what is the size of its surface? That is area. Okay. What is its mass? So I'm looking at mass. How much does it hold? How much does it hold? This is capacity. Okay. And then how much space does it occupy? That is volume. So you need to be able to understand what capacity means and what volume means. You also need to be able to give example to your students what is capacity and what is volume. Now, how hot or how cold is it? It's temperature. How long does it take? That's time. Okay, so when you ask these questions in your class, please make sure that your students understand what you want them to answer. So if you ask them what is the size of this surface, then they should find or calculate the area. Okay, let's move on to attributes and their measuring tools. So we're going to look at this, and also we're going to sort of like look at the units that the attributes actually belong to. Okay, this is the first one. This is measuring tools for length, distance, and area. Because for area or perimeter, yeah, you should put in another one, perimeter, sorry. So they use the length to find out area, to find out perimeter. But before you teach your students the units, okay, so we'll just go through the standardized and non-standardized units, okay, because the children, when they come to your school, sorry, when they come to your class, they do not know. Some of them just don't know what centimeter is, what millimeter is, or what yard or feet, and so on. Okay, so we will start with a non-standardized tools. For example, paper clips. Okay, now these two pencils, they are of the same size, but if you use different paper clips, you will get different length. So the first one is one, two, three, four, five small paper clips, and the other one is a large paper clip. So one, two, three. So three large paper clips. So this is how the children actually counted before you start teaching them about the actual unit. So have fun with this, and then they will see that, oh, they need to use a standardized unit. Okay, another example of measuring length or distance is when the children or the students is asked to find the length or the distance from their house to their school. So they have a map. This is a map, and then what they use will be a thread. So they will place the thread in front of the house, and then because the thread is so flexible, so they can go like an S and then go up and stop at the school. Okay, and then they will cut here near the school, and then they will use a ruler to measure. This is how uh, we learn about distance. We learn this in geometry. We also learn this in no, not geometry, sorry, we learn this in geography, and we learn this in maths, okay, in measurement. All right, some other ways to measure length or distance or area will be a hand span. So the children will use their hand to count or to measure their, let's say, their desk. So you give them an example, an activity. You give them an activity where they need to use their hand, the palm of their hand, for example, and measure how much or how long is their desk, and write it on a piece of paper. A cubit, okay, a cubit is from the um, your hand, your finger, the longest finger in your hand, to your what do they call it, um, to this part there, okay. All right, so that's a cubit. A feet will be your feet. How big is your feet? So you measure your feet, and then you cut uh, the thread, and then you use that to measure the desk, for example. A stride is how big can you walk. Okay, so for a small person, a child who is small in size, the stride will be smaller. But for a child who is, let's say, 12 years old and has grown taller, the stride will be bigger. So this is a ruler, down the stride, ruler, and then that's the measuring tape. So these are measuring tools for length or distance, where you can find later the area and perimeter of a certain shape. Okay, now the next one is mass. Okay, mass. Mass here means how much um, atoms do you have, how much cells do you have in your body. It doesn't have anything to do with the gravity. It's only the how muchness of things, okay, of atom for the chair and so on, and also how much cells do you have in your body as a human being. Okay, this the first one on your left is what we call as a weighing balance, and then the next one in the middle is what we call as a weighing scale, and the blue one is a weighing scale, and then the last one on the right is a weighing balance. What's the difference between weighing scale and weighing balance? Okay, weighing balance, they weigh um, small items, okay, but weighing scale, they weigh bigger items. Like you weigh yourself on a weighing scale, okay. When you want to travel, you use this weighing scale here, where you hook the bag, your bag, and then you pull it up, and then you can see whether it's 20 kg or 30 kg, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are measuring tools for mass. Moving on, measuring tools for volume or capacity. Okay, so we have measuring spoons on the left. So when you want to bake, you will use the measuring spoons, like 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of baking powder, okay, and so on and so forth. The measuring jug is for liquid. For example, you need to use milk or melted butter and so on. Okay, the next one, the one that is short and tall, these are measuring cylinders. So these measuring cylinders, the smallest I've seen in chemistry lab is 5 cubic cm. It's so small. And then that's 10, and then we have 25, and then we have 50, and the largest that I've seen was like 200 plus. Okay, but that even then that weighing cylinder is actually in a university. Okay, not because I don't go to chemistry lab here. I only saw it in the university where I did my bachelor's degree. Okay, the next two on the left, sorry, on the right, one small, one big. These are called beakers. They also measure volume. Um, so they can actually keep a certain capacity of water or a certain capacity of solution in a chemistry lab. Okay, so these are some of the measuring tools which people can use to count or to find volumes or capacity. All right, moving on to measuring tools for time. You know what you need to use when you want to tell time. Okay, so on the left hand side, we have different type of clocks. The one on top, which is round, that is an analog clock. Okay, analog clock. The one under the analog clock is called a digital clock. Okay, let's go to the next two watches. On top is a wrist watch. Okay, because you put it on your wrist. The next one is a wristwatch again, but because it's made digitally, it shows digital numbers, so it's called a digital watch. Next column, we have the digital timer, and underneath it we have a timer. This we use when, let's say, you want to bake a cake, and you are just using the normal oven, so you will need a timer. So you set it to, let's say, 45 minutes, and once it reaches 45 minutes, it will ring ring. Okay, right. And the last one is what we call as an hourglass, not hour. Okay, in English the H is silent, so hourglass. So these are some of the measuring tools that you can use when you want to tell the time. But most of the time we use clock, analog clock, digital clock, wristwatch, and digital watch. We don't use the hourglass because we don't know how long it takes actually. Okay, the last measuring tools will be temperature. Okay, temperature. Now for temperature, we know whether it's hot or whether it's cold. Okay, but we don't know what is the temperature. Is it 10 degrees Celsius or is it 30 degrees Celsius? So we need to know the temperature. So we have all kinds of thermometers here. The digital thermometer, there's another one, digital thermometer. The third one, which is yellow in the beaker, that is not a digital thermometer. You have to read it, similar to the one on the right. So on the right, you can see the left part of the thermometer is degrees Celsius, and the one on the left, oh sorry, the one on the left is degrees Celsius. The one on the right is Fahrenheit. So most countries who use metric system will use degrees Celsius, and countries such as America, who is not using metric system, they will use degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so yeah, whenever you watch YouTube videos, for example, and it's on baking cakes or baking something, then the person, if they are from America, they will tell you in degrees Celsius, or they put it up in the video so that people from countries using metric system, then they can actually follow and bake the cake correctly. Okay, all right, so we have finished all the measuring tools, right? All the measuring tools. So now we're moving on to estimation. Okay, now estimation is where you look at something, you look at an item, and you start to think whether it is heavy or it is light. For example, this one. Okay, so estimation, you're asked to arrange from lightest to heaviest. Okay, lightest to heaviest. So your students, you need to sort of like teach your students what is estimation, and ask them to estimate some items in the class. You can bring in a packet of sugar, a packet of flour, a packet of sweets, and a box of chocolate, for example. So ask them to arrange um, every day for a week, and then at the end of the week, you can ask them to look at the correct answer. Okay, whoever managed to get all correct answers, they will get the chocolate, for example. So motivate them. All right, so we have iPad on the left, and then one water bottle with water in it. So the water bottle, if it is empty, it's light. So that is what you want to tell your students. If the water bottle is full with water, it is heavier. Okay, and then this is a big cat. It's a cat. It looks like Garfield. Okay, and then this is a children's bike or children's bicycle. How big is a children's bicycle compared to an adult's bicycle? Okay, so out of these four, which one is the lightest and which one is the heaviest? Okay, so you can have this kind of activity for your students until they can get or guess the estimation of each item. If they can't, and you give them exercises where you have to compare between boxes of pasta versus boxes of um, you know let's say flour or cakes. So they might have to go to the supermarket or the hypermarket to take a look. Okay, and then to feel the thing themselves, the item themselves. Oh, this is heavier than this one, and so on. It's a good exercise. Okay, so these are exercises that you can give to your students. Which one is heavier? So we have 1 kilogram of cotton and 1 kilogram of sand. Okay, so which one is heavier? All right, of course, the 1 kilogram of sand. And then, what is the volume of the last jar? So this is the last jar. So this is 100, okay, volume, 100 pieces of pasta. And then this is 200, 300. So this is what? Between 250 to 280 maybe. Okay, so they estimate. And this one here, how many people can fit in a boat? You look at the boat, it's a small boat. That's the person who rows the boat. So they need to estimate how many people can fit in the boat. And the people that can fit in the boat must also have the same body type, okay, as the person who's going to row. Because if it's a big person or a very tall person, then only one can fit in the boat. Okay, so your students will be arguing about this, and they will need to come up with their own measurement reasoning. Okay, how many countries can fit into Africa? Okay, so Africa is quite large, as you can see. So there are so many countries that can fit into Africa. One of them is China, the other one is USA, India, um, Eastern Europe, and so on. Okay, those will be fun because then your students will need to measure the country and then put it into the African continent. Okay, so how much time do we spend in a week to brush your teeth? How many minutes will you take to brush your teeth? Is it 1, 2 minutes? Or is it, let's say, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? So it depends on how long you brush your teeth. Okay. Um, how long would you spend in a week to eat your meal? How many meals do you take per day? Some people they only take 1 meal per day. Okay. Some people they take until up to 3 meals per day. So then you time yourself eating each meal and then calculate for a week. Okay, how much time do we spend in a week to sleep? How long do you sleep? 8 hours? 7 hours? Okay, 6 hours? So it depends. Some of you would sleep late at night because you revise your work. And then you sleep around 12 and you wake up at 6, for example. So that's 6 hours. Some of you will sleep longer, like 8 hours. So yeah, only the students can answer this question, but it you are setting them to think. You're getting them to think. Okay. Right. Let's get on to units. Okay. So let's see these three items. What units do we use to measure the mass? The keyword here is the mass. Okay, not weight. We're not looking at weight because weight, it has something to do with the gravity. So we're not looking at gravity. We are only looking at mass. Okay, so dairy milk, Cadbury chocolate. Okay, so what's the unit for its mass? Grams, not kilograms. Okay, grams. Like maybe this big dairy milk is around 200 grams, maybe. Okay, and then there's the baby panda. Okay, baby panda. So what unit will we use to measure the mass of the baby panda? Do we use gram or kilogram? Okay, so we use kilogram because even though the baby panda is small like this, but it is more than a kilo, right? A kilogram. Now this huge ship, okay, this huge ship. So yeah, we use kilogram, but this will be a few 100,000 kilogram because it's so big. Okay, so these are units for mass. So for mass, we are looking at grams and kilograms. Okay, once again, grams and kilograms. For countries that are not using the standardized metric system, they will have pounds and ounce, stone, and so on. Okay, so since we are in the country that uses metric system, we'll just stick to grams and kilograms. All right, what about distance? What units do we use to measure distance? As you can see, this may be Google Map, or this may be Waze. Okay, so we need to find the unit for distance. So what is the unit for distance? Meter or kilometer? Okay, meter or kilometer. Because when we say distance, we cannot use centimeter. How how are you going to use centimeter? Because centimeter is so small. So a meter, and most of the time people will say 100 meters, 200 meters. Okay, and then when you go on the highway, it will be kilometers. So these are the two units that we can use to measure distance. Right, let's look at the other one. Okay, what units do we use to measure temperature? You can see on the left, the girl is shivering because it's snowing and it's very, very cold. The one on the right, that's the sun on top of this person, so it shows that it is very warm. So we use thermometer. Yes, correct. We use thermometer. So when we use thermometer, there are two thermometers. One is degrees Celsius, the other one is Fahrenheit. So we use degrees Celsius. So let's say for the cold season, it might be minus 20 degrees Celsius. And for the one that is bright and sunny, it could be 30 degrees Celsius. So then we know from the reading on the thermometer that one is hot and one is cold. Okay, let's move on to measurement relationships. Okay, so this is still key. Sorry, this is still key idea one. Okay, key idea one consists of attributes and then measuring tools and units. Okay, and plus measurement relationships. Okay, let's take a look at this. Measurement relationships. such as those of area to perimeter and volume to surface, that help add meaning to measurement formulas, such as relationships between the area formulas for rectangles, parallelograms, and triangles. Now, in the measurement strand, learning investigations often use real life concrete settings and context. So, once again, please find real life examples to give to your students, and so that they can use measurement relationship to solve the problem. Okay, let's look at this. This is uh, a shape. Okay, developing area formula for a parallelogram. Parallelogram means they do have parallel, okay, parallel sides. So you can see here, this is a rectangle. So the top part of the rectangle and the bottom part of the rectangle has the same length. Okay, so the right side and the left side also has the same length. So this is, sorry, parallelogram. Okay, all right. So trying to find the formula for a parallelogram, which has the dotted line first. Okay, has the dotted line first. So what you need to do is, we have the B side and H side. So what you need to do is to cut the H side and then put it on the triangle on the left hand side. And that is how you count or you calculate the area formula for a parallelogram. Okay. Which increases packing capacity? Which can fit more clothes? Is it by folding or is it by rolling? Okay. So if you have pack your things before you come to Malaysia or before you go for a travel, a holiday somewhere, you might want to think about this. Is it folding or is it rolling? Which can fit more clothes, right? Okay, so the answer is actually rolling. So when you roll a lot of your clothes, you will have more space to put in some more clothes in it. So the capacity is looking inside the bag, not outside of the bag. Okay, so yeah, that is capacity. And then which can fit more clothes? Again, under capacity. So you look at the first one on the left, top left, and then the white arrow shows to the right. Okay, and then we look at the third one, which is on the left, under number one. All right, and then from number three to number four, this is actually rolling as well. So from number one to number two, it shows that you fold, and then number three to number four, it shows that you roll. So to fit in more clothes, you'll do number three to number four. Okay, here's a thinking point for you. So this is individual work. You can show it to me in the other tutorial. Okay, not next week, because next week we'll see on another week. Okay, choose two attributes and take a video of you measuring an object in your environment, for example, your house or your apartment, etc., using a measuring tool. So for this one, for example, you are looking at attribute length. Okay, number one. Number two is area. Number three is volume. Number four is capacity, even though you can't see it because my video is there. Number five is mass. Number six, time. And number seven, temperature. Okay, find something that is easy for you to do, as well as finding the measuring tool. So for length attribute, You want to measure the length and width of a tile in your house using a ruler and explain the units as well. Okay, so here you are deciding on the attribute, which is length. Then you're thinking of the measuring tool. So, what measuring tool are you using? A ruler. Okay, maybe it's a long ruler, or maybe you can change it to measuring tape. Okay, and then you explain the units that you use. Are you going to measure it in millimeters, or centimeters, or meter, or kilometer? Okay, so choose one unit um, which can be used for that particular tile. So upload the videos in your Google Drive and share the link in week 2 tutorial link in my times before the next class. So I will set up a link for you to share your link, okay? So that when we see each other again on Thursday after the 1st of May, then um, yeah, we can watch how you did it, okay? This is only for measurements. The next thing that we will go to will be teaching geometry. That's all. Bye.